Man,
Yo,
LT,
what up? What up?
just like that,
Just like that.
we back again.
Hey,
I mean, people already know the drill. People already know what we do here. We go over previous fights from the past weekend, and then we transition over to fights about to happen this current weekend.
right.
I mean, we recorded today a little bit late, so I think whoever the listenership, the audience, they should be prepared for, a little bit of, waiting and seeing and trust and believe. I kept my ears closed personally. I'm not listening to anybody's take. These are brand new takes on a Wednesday. So,
Yeah.
LT, how have you been, man?
I'm in Gucci, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm a workaholic and I love it. I love
Absolutely.
it. Staying busy, man. Staying productive. How you been?
Man, I've been doing okay. Busy, very busy. But I'm not complaining. I mean, this is what being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being a person that works, that's trying to make multiple streams of revenue.
Right.
We have to always go through the whole idea of how to expand your time and make that 24 hours look like 48. It's crazy.
There's never enough in the day.
Absolutely. And shout out to I want to take time to shout out to all the mothers in the world.
Hey.
The past weekend, Sunday was Mother's Day. I mean, we didn't have the chance to shout them out the last episode. But yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for
Right.
them.
If it wasn't for y'all, none of us would be here. So
Absolutely. So you already know this is a time when the bell rings.
ding ding ding.
Let's talk about last weekend's fights. Looking over my notes today, let's talk about the big one first, and then we'll trickle down to the rest.
Ooh. Fireworks.
Let's talk about the DAZN fight. Let's talk about Canelo Alvarez Saul versus Billy Joe Sanders.
That's the big ticket in the fight world right now, especially undoubtedly in the sport of boxing. I said it would be entertaining. I said it would be interesting, and I think it was. It ended with an 8th round stoppage TKO, but up until that point, some people had Billy Joe Sanders ahead on points. I know I definitely gave him 5, 6, 7.
Right.
All in a row. Arguably, I think it was arguably the second round. That was a toss-up round,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What were you thinking?
I mean, we were together watching that fight, and I was mouthing off. I was like, yo, Canelo is moving just as his head movement is amazing. And coming into this fight, we talked about how underrated Billy Joe Sanders is.
Right.
Billy Joe Sanders has amazing feet. He has amazing. He dances on that canvas. But just with Canelo, it looked like Canelo was stalking him like a hawk. The head movement. I was like, I heard this, and this is like a regurgitated take, but Canelo took a ass whooping from Floyd, which was like a Harvard level of ass whooping. Like you just got better because of the level of competition that beat you.
Right, exactly.
You just became something else, because ever since that ass whooping, he's been on another level, and we have to accept it.
What don't kill you make you stronger.
Absolutely.
I think, throughout that fight,
and Floyd didn't beat him. Floyd is not like, he just put a clinic. It was not like Floyd he was not the bigger man. He did.
What that was a changing of the guard. It was a passing of the torch. It was Canelo not really ready yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this win on my record before he get ready and before I get up out of here. And Canelo, they know he wasn't ready, but he wasn't gonna turn out the payday.
Right.
And it also introduced him to a brand new audience. So,
I mean, that's like one of the most genius chess moves by
at that
a
time,
veteran fighter like Floyd, knowing this is the guy who's gonna be taking on the passing of the torch, whatever you want to say. Let me get him early.
Absolutely.
Let me get him early.
Absolutely, which is why he had him on his undercard with the Cotto fight. He fought Shane Mosley on the undercard, and he come on out. It was,
and I don't want to bring it back Floyd, but Floyd is a genius for picking and choosing.
Man, I tell people all the time.
He's a genius for picking and choosing. And we've not even put him on our top 5, both of us.
But I tell you all the time, I respect.
He's on my honorable mention.
I respect Floyd's genius on the outside of the ring more than I respect it. Man, he does. He's great at what he does.
Right. So that fight, like you said, Canelo won.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a stoppage from, I think somebody had an eyeball fracture or something.
So the orbital bone.
Orbital. That sounds painful, man.
Man, to give it a quick rundown, Billy Joe did what he had to do to be successful in that situation. I will say that Canelo has ascended and become somewhat of a technician. Now, defensively, I don't think he's as technical. Defensively, he's sound, very good. But Billy Joe was able to touch him, and he touched him more than he's been touched in the last 4 fights.
He did.
Now, with that being said, Billy Joe had to do some unconventional things to throw him off his game, and I think when we seen the 8th round, he went to the well one too many times.
Absolutely.
And by that, Canelo was able to process it up by the end. And
yeah, he's a computer, man. He was just absorbing, and then his output was just amazing after that because he had deciphered everything.
Exactly.
And just looking back at that fight, I look at it in this format. I'm judging Canelo from his past performances, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the Daniel Jacobs fight, where it looked like Canelo was fighting so close to Daniel Jacobs, and Daniel Jacobs was not touching him. His head movement was impeccable. His counter punches were impeccable. He was amazing. Daniel Jacobs is one of the first fighters that put me on alert with, when I saw him versus Triple G, it was arguable, he could have won that fight. People were like, okay, we don't know who won. That's the first time we looked at Triple G like a myth. Kind of like, the same way we looked at Manny Pacquiao before he fought Marquez and got the 4th or 3rd time, whatever, when he got knocked out. But there was a time when Triple G was a boogeyman.
You maybe
Lomachenko was a boogeyman too.
What you just did was you sparked this in my head, and Triple G is a myth in the same way that Canelo was a myth because Canelo built his resume in Mexico.
We saw Canelo get his ass spanked a little bit when he was younger.
But he built his resume fighting Roman in Mexico. True. A lot of unknowns. True. Triple G took the route of staying in Europe and not coming to America. And so for them to meet, that's the culmination of both of their careers.
Right, man. We had fun this weekend. I would say it was a great fight night, and proceeding to that, before we even get into the UFC, let's talk about Bellator. We talked about this fight. I think all my predictions were right. You agree with me too? We talk about Rumble Johnson, Anthony.
Actually, you said he was gonna get submitted, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think I said he's gonna knock out.
Did you? Y'all go back and look at it.
I don't know. We could go back and revisit that, but I thought
I don't even think I made a pick on that one. I said I could see it, but they made me eat my words. They made me, because it was action. It wasn't a whole lot of dancing. It was action packed. And Anthony looked like a light heavyweight. I felt like in the UFC days, he looked like a heavyweight that was barely going down to but he looked at 37 years old.
He looked like a 215, even less than that.
I don't know, but he looked good. And his tank was good. What I remember I guess he better knows how to pace himself now in his old age with his experience. What do you think?
From what I saw, I didn't watch it live because there was so much action happening that day.
Right.
From the clips, from a replay or a highlight type of setting, he looked like he still has that hunger. He looked in shape. That's not his problem. Looking good and looking in fight shape is not his problem. But he did what he does, man. He has hands. He's a strong, heavy hitting wrestler, fighter. He's that guy. And
It appeared that the opponent, Augustus,
Augustus, yeah,
I feel
Jose.
like he hurt his hand at some point. Like,
Yeah.
is Anthony just his head that's that hard, or?
I mean, it's a fight game, and we're human beings, and we are very fragile beings. So, let's go into our guy, man, Venom Page, MVP.
Fireworks. He's, you know, he remind me of Barry Bonds coming up the bat, right? Barry Bonds used to pick his pitches. He look at it coming in, that's a ball.
Yeah.
That's a ball they're throwing away from me. But when he got that perfect one right down the middle of the plate, see ya. And that's what that fight was like. It wasn't rapid fire. It was calculated. Okay, bow. Make it count. Bow.
Doctor, stop that joint.
Vicious.
I mean, it's amazing for his weight category to what he does.
Right.
And there's one notorious viral video that you'll see him like was it a knee where he dented somebody's head? Like it's graphic. I don't want to even put it on our showcase area, but like, I mean, he's a bad man. Like we talked about last time, he is a UFC equivalent of like a style bender, but he loves to entertain, man. He's a showman.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to the UFC. I mean, not a lot happened. I mean, the main thing got switched around, but I just put this on the schedule or on our agenda or our docket. Let's talk about Daniel Cerrone first, before even we get into anything. And we'll talk. Okay, let's talk about the women first.
All right.
Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Watterson. 5-rounder main event. Co-main. And Rodriguez won that convincingly with Karate Hottie.
Right.
What's her nickname on Instagram? She has a lot of following. I mean, they follow her. She has the aesthetics to pull that, but it was a clinic for me, man. I mean, it was not a knockout clinic, but it was just domination for me.
Yeah, that's an interesting point when it comes to women's sports in general. Like, you talk about that following, and a lot of times the best and the top tier in certain sports don't get that following, but certain people that are more marketable do.
The aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's the aesthetics, man. I think.
Mad props to the ones that just keep grinding regardless.
Absolutely.
Because once you get to the top, they gotta respect it.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about, and I don't want to get into the semantics of what aesthetics are and what's good to market, because tennis have their own aesthetics. But in the fight sport, how the rise of a Ronda Rousey or compared to other fighters like Cyborg, who is like amazing, or Amanda Nunes, who's like legendary, like Hall of Famer fighter, and how much marketing and how they transition to like a Hollywood would match. I mean, that's a deeper conversation. And I feel like if we had our allies, our sisters in combat sports, that would be a great conversation for them to come to this show and talk about, fight, the same way people talk about in basketball, the WNBA, the looks that they get and who is chosen to be that person. I mean, it's a good conversation.
That's why I'm just scathing over it.
Okay, let's talk about Cowboy Cerrone.
Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Okay, man. I mean, he hit the jackpot fighting Conor in, I don't want to say last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year, Conor's comeback fight. Lasted a little bit of a few minutes of the first round. I remember the the elbow shots. I mean, not the elbow shot, the shoulder little hits, and then, it was a KO, man. This fight, it's appealing to the fans. Alex Morono. I mean, he dominated, controlled it. First round TKO, and that's all she wrote. What's next for Cerrone? I don't know what his record is.
Man,
What's his record?
I mean, he's had 54 matches,
He's fought a lot. That's a lot of fighting.
36 wins, 16 losses. Now,
You know,
Looking
if we're
back.
doing mathematics, he's not doing too bad.
looking back, like over this, I think that Alex Morono, just my personal opinion, is probably the worst L he's got on his record. I mean, I'm looking at some of these names and I'm like, okay, respect. Some of these he could have avenged. He had the opportunity to avenge, but you know, overall, the people that he loses to, I respect it because I respect them as fighters. But this one right here might just tell you that, hey, it's time.
Sometimes I think it's like rap, because I was doing music. Sometimes the last person to know when you need to quit is the artist. Same thing as fighting. Like, God forbid we don't want to see a legendary fighter go out like, you know how we saw the executioner getting punched out of a ring at 50. You know that's that's a bad look.
My top 5, right?
But you know what I mean? Like sometimes legends don't know. Like I don't want to even talk about Roy Jones Jr. fighting in Russia. Like it's I don't want to say that, but salute to Donald Cerrone.
Right.
Amazing fighter, probably even going to be a MMA Hall of Fame. And talking about Hall of Fame, let's bring it back. Okay. Let's bring it back to the roots.
All
right, I'll be getting episodes.
Here we go.
LT, what is your MMA top 5?
Man, and so we say MMA because
we don't want to
it's across the board, right? So now UFC is the ultimate, literally, pun intended. That's the ultimate.
Right.
They've done such a great job marketing and promoting the sport. But when we respect all these athletes and their records before they even arrive to that pinnacle. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump right into it. I made this list. I gotta put an honorable mention on here, man.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead.
So with that being said, I'm gonna go through my list and then I'm gonna give y'all honorable mention. Number 5, Chuck Liddell, the Iceman.
Ooh.
Number 5, off the bat, man.
Brawler.
Just the style. I mean, I'm somebody that grew up as a youth, as an adolescent. I love the wrestling entertainment, right? Sports entertainment,
right?
Watching WWE, WCW back in those days. And Chuck Liddell reminded me like a live version, real version of that. Like I understood that all that stuff was scripted and whatnot, right? But Chuck Liddell was like the real version of that.
Yeah, he put everything on the line, man. Yeah, he was just a brute that just liked to fight.
Moving right along.
That's one.
I'm giving you Quentin Rampage Jackson, number 4 for me.
That's 4 for me. Okay, so 5, 4. Okay.
Yeah, for me. Action packed, bro. Action
slams. These slams was nasty.
Man, it was just aggressive, like a level of athleticism. Pioneering. I can't, somebody might be able to name somebody else, but for me, that just took it to an entire different level as far as athleticism in the octagon.
Okay.
Number 3, when I tell you the Genesis, I mentioned this person on the very first episode, Ken Shamrock.
Boom. Another brute. Man, you have some rough fighters. Like, people are willing to die in the octagon type of dudes.
Man, and I'm telling you, like, he's the OG. You know,
he's the OG. He's the OG.
I gotta put him in there. He's the OG. Like I said before, every time he fought back in the day, that was one person that we seen.
Absolutely.
Ken Shamrock, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr.
Okay.
Then was all right. Moving right along. And so this is where it becomes.
So you have Chuck.
I got Chuck.
You have Rampage.
Ken Shamrock. Now this is where we go from, like, as far as favorite.
So we on to your number 2.
We go into all-time status.
Let's go.
And I have to set my favorite feelings aside on these.
Let's go.
But in the same sense, they are my favorites.
Let's go.
Spider, number 2.
Boom.
Spider, number 2.
Okay.
Anderson Silva.
Drums. Let's go for your number 1, real. I thought you were going for Spider's number 1. Let's go. This is now kind of interesting.
John Bones Jones, number 1. All time.
Boom.
All time.
I mean, that's not a bad list.
And
Chuck Liddell.
mm-hmm.
And then you have Quentin,
Mm-hmm.
Rampage.
Right.
And then you have
Ken
Shamrock as your 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have
Spider.
Mm-hmm. And then you have
John Bones
Jones.
And I mean, the thing about Jones, I told people, I remember vividly, they fought in Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Jones and Rampage.
Right.
I said, listen, Jones is not to be played with. I was telling people that.
Okay.
And they was, I had some friends that wanted to go out there. They was Rampage fans. Like, hey, look, I'm a Rampage fan too. But this kid right here, I'm not going out there, and y'all gonna have y'all time ruined. And
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
All right, let me get into mine.
Wait, honorable mention.
Okay, because we get into the 20 minute mark.
And I'm gonna just throw this out there. Bob Sapp.
Boom. Ah, man, he's an exhibition, like showcase type of fighter. He's just 325 pounds with 6-pack. That was amazing. That's a big in shape dude.
But he did a lot for the sport overseas.
He did. I mean, especially in Japan, I think China he fought. But okay, let me go with mine. Boom, my number 5. Mm-hmm. I go with Amanda Nunes. I mean, just amazing. The lioness, beast. Yeah. I mean, I don't even have to say more. I'll go my number 4. I'll go George St. Pierre as my number 4.
All right.
We already know what he did for the game. We already know his record. We know what he did. Number 3. This hurts me. But I have to put my man, Usman. I mean, he's still
new blood.
He's still rewriting history, but I think he's up to 14 victories defending the belt. I don't know. I don't want to mess it up, but he's in real time. He's creating history. In real time, he's extending that.
Right.
So that's my number 3. My number 2, just like you, I have to put Spider.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what? Let me pull that back. Let me pull that back. My number 2, I want to put Israel Adesanya. People are gonna get mad at me,
Youngblood.
but nothing to me. We're talking about mixed martial arts. People have to do his resume. He's fought over 100 fights. We're talking about not UFC. Forget the UFC. Forget the mass marketing. We're talking about the ultimate fight. That is UFC. But we're talking about fighting in a mixed martial arts setting. Izzy is my number 2. My number 1 is Spider. Woo. Bones is an honorable mention.
Okay.
Just like that.
Ooh. That's crazy.
That's gonna create some.
If
people know me.
Go is outside of your top 5
because he's not fought in any other. He's only been in the UFC.
Any other entity?
Yeah. So I mean, he wrestled. I mean, I don't know about his wrestling pedigree like that, but to me,
JUCO champion.
To me, it's a substitute. Either I take out Usman and put Bones, or John Jones, whatever you want to call him, because I find it weird saying John Bones Jones. It's just so hard for me to say. But yeah, that's how I feel. Let's move on.
Let's go
to our speedy round. Right? We're gonna fly through this one. We're gonna talk about LT. Mm-hmm. Who is fighting? Let's go.
Look at it. All right, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. We talked
about that last week. I mean, we'll keep the same takes.
I'll give you one note though. Oliveira was an opponent of Cowboy Cerrone,
and Cerrone lost.
I clicked off the record. No. Cerrone beat him.
Okay.
Let's see. And this was early. Like, I gotta find it.
I was just finding it. The fun part about, this fight week that is coming up with the UFC. This is UFC 262. of course, he's talking about the headliners, the main event people, Chandler versus Oliveira. The fun part is the return of Nate Diaz. We already talked about that. I like Nate because he's one of the trailblazers of not caring. You know, first official. I don't want to say first because it could be somebody before him, but one person that I definitely knew came out and said, "I smoke weed and I fight."
Yeah.
I don't know if I know there are other fighters that do that. He's like, "Yo, I have a lot of pain when I wrestle. I feel, shoulder aches for my healing and recovery. I smoke weed. That's why I'm a top level athlete."
But it took people to do that.
He was the first. He's the first one that was active in a fight game. I mean, other people came up after, but from what I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
Today, there's only 3 states in the union where it's not legal in some form.
The Senate here in Kansas, just kind of said no to that bill of that type of marijuana. I think it was medical. I think was not allowed today, from what I know from my people.
We just gotta keep fighting the good fight. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, man. As we talked about UFC 262. A person like Charles Oliveira, he's been around.
Yeah, he fought Cerrone back in 2011.
He's another Cowboy Cerrone. He's had a lot of fights, not in the win-loss category type of thing, but
39 matches.
Volume of fights. This dude has been in the ring.
And he's been on a streak as of recent.
He's been fighting, so that's gonna be interesting.
It's on an 8-match winning streak, looks like.
Yeah.
So.
But with that, who you gonna choose? Who you choosing for Charles? Let's repeat what our choices. Who you choosing for Charles Oliveira versus Chandler? Chandler Oliveira.
I'm picking Chandler.
I picked Chandler too. Yeah. Knockout. I'm going for. I don't know what I said last time. Maybe I said submission. I'm going for a knockout on Chandler.
I'm gonna reiterate all time wins leader in Bellator.
Okay. We going with Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards.
I'm rooting for him. I think you picked Edwards.
I chose Edwards, and I think Edwards is gonna knock him out.
You can't go against Diaz.
Okay, you can't. So you're going with Diaz, and just like that,
it's been
another episode of
Who's Fighting.
Boom.